Have you ever wondered how a single mistake could change history forever? On April 26, 1986, one of the most devastating nuclear disasters ever recorded took place in the Soviet Union. It happened at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, near the city of Pripyat, in what is now Ukraine. What started as a routine safety test quickly turned into a nightmare that would affect millions of people and leave scars that remain visible even today. That night, engineers at Reactor No. 4 were preparing to perform an experiment. They wanted to find out whether the spinning turbines could continue producing enough electricity for a short time if the power suddenly failed. It seemed like a simple test, but several safety systems were disabled to carry it out, and the reactor was pushed into an unstable condition. At 1:23 a.m., everything went terribly wrong. The reactor suddenly produced an enormous surge of power. Within seconds, two massive explosions ripped through the building. The roof of the reactor was blown apart, and burning pieces of radioactive graphite were thrown high into the night sky. A bright blue glow appeared above the reactor as deadly radiation escaped into the atmosphere. The workers inside the control room had no idea what had just happened. Many of them believed the reactor was still intact because no one thought such an explosion was even possible. They continued trying to pump water into a reactor that no longer existed. Outside, firefighters rushed to the scene within minutes. None of them had been told they were facing a nuclear disaster. Wearing only ordinary uniforms, they climbed onto the burning roof to extinguish fires caused by the explosion. They touched radioactive debris with their bare hands, completely unaware that they were exposing themselves to lethal doses of radiation. Some described seeing strange metallic tastes in their mouths. Others complained of burning skin and severe headaches only minutes after arriving. Still, they continued fighting the fire, believing they were saving the power plant. By sunrise, the invisible danger had already begun spreading far beyond Chernobyl. Radioactive particles were drifting across the skies of Europe, while the nearby city of Pripyat continued life as if nothing had happened.
As the fire continued to burn, an invisible enemy spread across the night sky. The reactor was no longer releasing ordinary smoke. It was releasing enormous amounts of radioactive material, carried by the wind, far beyond the power plant. The people of Pripyat, only 3 kilometers away, had no idea that deadly radiation was already surrounding them. Children played outside, families walked through the streets, and many residents stood on their balconies, watching the strange blue glow above the reactor, unaware that every minute outside was exposing them to dangerous levels of radiation. Inside the hospital, the first firefighters began arriving. Doctors noticed something unusual. Many of the men were vomiting, suffering from severe headaches, and their skin had started turning bright red. At first, no one understood the true cause. They treated the patients like ordinary burn victims, not realizing they had received massive doses of radiation that were already destroying their bodies. From the inside, the Soviet government remained silent. For nearly 36 hours after the explosion, the people of Pripyat were not told the truth. Schools remained open, children continued playing, and thousands of families went about their daily lives as radioactive dust settled on the streets, buildings, parks, and playgrounds. Finally, on the afternoon of April 27th, hundreds of buses entered the city. Officials announced that everyone had to leave temporarily. Residents were told to take only essential belongings because they would return within a few days. Believing the evacuation would be brief, most people left behind their homes, photographs, pets, toys, and nearly everything they owned. But they would never return. Pripyat became a ghost city almost overnight, frozen in time. Apartments remained exactly as they had been left. Classrooms stayed empty. Amusement park rides never welcomed visitors, and silence replaced the sounds of everyday life. In the weeks that followed, thousands of people were forced to leave their homes forever. Entire villages disappeared from the map. More than 100,000 people were evacuated, leaving behind everything they had built throughout their lives. Pripyat, once a modern city full of life, became completely silent. Schools remained exactly as they were on the day of the evacuation. Books still rested on classroom desks. Children's toys were left where they had fallen. The amusement park, which was supposed to open for the first time just days after the accident, never welcomed a single visitor. Nature slowly reclaimed the abandoned city. Trees grew through broken buildings. Wild animals returned to places where humans could no longer live. Scientists continue studying the exclusion zone today. Although radiation levels have decreased in many areas, some places around Reactor No. 4 will remain dangerous for thousands of years. The disaster also changed the world's approach to nuclear safety. Countries introduced stricter safety regulations. Nuclear reactors were redesigned. Emergency response systems were completely rewritten to prevent another tragedy like Chernobyl. Today, Chernobyl stands as a reminder of both human error and extraordinary courage. It tells the story of those who lost everything, those who gave their lives to protect others, and the lessons the world must never forget. More than 3 decades have passed since the night that changed history. The reactor is now covered by a massive steel structure designed to contain the remaining radiation. Yet the scars of Chernobyl can still be seen today. Entire towns remain abandoned. Families never returned to their homes, and thousands of lives were changed forever. But from one of history's greatest nuclear disasters came lessons the world could never ignore. Nuclear safety standards became stricter. Emergency response systems improved, and the bravery of the firefighters, engineers, miners, pilots, and liquidators will never be forgotten. Chernobyl is not just a story about a reactor. It is a story about human mistakes, human courage, and the price paid to protect future generations. Some places remind us of what happened. Chernobyl reminds us of what must never happen again.